Are you an independent musician feeling overwhelmed by the endless act of juggling creativity, business, and self-care? You're not alone. That's why I created the Artist Mind Map. The Artist Mind Map is a free blueprint designed to help you get clear on the route you need to take to attain your career goals in alignment to your artistic values. This is not just another random PDF page for the forgotten corners of your hard disk. It's a timeless roadmap you can use for decades to come. Think of it as a go-to overview to consult. When you grab your free mind map, you get exclusive access to a masterclass that will take your career to the next level. I use the same methodologies and systems for my high-end paying clients and students. So why am I giving it to you for free? Simple. I want to build a community of artists who can count on each other for safe spaces. Music saved my life. I believe that you have all that it takes to be the artist you were meant to be, if you're willing to put in the work. And more importantly, understanding what that work is. And the Artist Mind Map was designed to help you do exactly that. So if this resonates with you, go to artistmindmap.com and download this resource. artistmindmap.com. Welcome to another session solo cast. These solo casts were designed to help independent artists and musicians like you navigate the very complex labyrinth that is your artistic practice and career. They're based on empirical research and experiences of my own career as an independent musician and an educator and coach working with artists just like you. The primary aim behind these sessions is to offer accessibility to the kind of education many of us need to work with in order to forward ourselves in these very confusing times as empowered and independent artists in the truest sense of the word. Hey folks, welcome back to another solo cast. I hope you had a good week and I hope you took a minute to listen to our last guest episode with the amazing Rebecca Mardal, where we dived really deep into self-doubt as an independent artist and much more. If you haven't checked it out yet, please consider going back and having a listen. It will be worth your time. Today, we are back with a solo cast again. I might have mentioned already. And this is about the why, what, how framework. If you go and have a look at the blog post related to what I'm going to talk about in a minute, you'll see how I titled this post with the rather dramatic heading of the power of the why, what, how framework for musicians. Drama aside though, I really do believe this to be an extraordinarily powerful tool, and I'm going to try and unpack exactly why to the best of my abilities in this podcast episode. So here we go. The why, what, how framework. Learn to clarify your artistic purpose. Okay, for starters, we all know the creative process, generally speaking, is a bit of a dance between chaos and clarity. And we musicians thrive on that magical tension. I love it. I know most of you probably do too. But sometimes the pull toward the chaos part of it can leave us a little lost in the very process we love so much. Ideas swirl, passions flow, but often without a particularly clear direction. And before you know it, we find ourselves stuck in a potentially frustrating loop of confusion. That's where the why, what, how framework comes in. A simple yet profound tool that can turn that chaos into a more clear and purposeful journey. Let's get into an overview of the why, what, how framework, okay? At its core, this framework, the why, what, how framework, is about dividing your creative process into three distinct layers. Number one, the why. This is the reason behind your work. Why do you do what you do? Number two, the what, the actual concrete tasks you want to accomplish and the outcomes you want to achieve. What exactly are you trying to create? What's the finished piece of work or piece of music or even the product going to look like? And number three, the how, the manner in which you adopt your steps and methods to bring your vision to life. Methodologies, techniques, tools, processes, you know what I'm talking about. That's it. That's all. It's really about dividing your entire process into these three categories: the why, what, how, and following it in an ascending order. It's as simple as that. Almost sounds too simple, right? But here's the thing. Simplicity, in my experience, is exactly the key to solving complex problems. Because you try and solve a complex problem with a complex solution, you're in for a double dosage of complex. The simpler the tools we can find to find solutions, the more effective. That's my 2 pence on it anyway. And also, I would contend once you apply this ridiculously simple framework to your musical project, the clarity and direction it brings with it could completely transform your work ethic. And that's a big one. Let's dig in a little deeper. Okay, let's start with the why. Probably made most famous as a pop philosophy of sorts by entrepreneur Simon Sinek. His renowned TED Talk was an eye-opener on how some of the world's most creative people started not by figuring out what to do and how to do them, but why they would want to in the first place. So just FYI, by the way, I can't take any credit for this framework. This is an established framework for a while now, except for some reason musicians haven't been as privy to it. So anyway, that's how this whole why became famous. Simon Sinek. Google Simon Sinek and you should come up with the TED talk. It's very easy to skip this step. The why, it's easy to skip it in our haste to create, because so many times we just caught up in this frenzy of creative, energetic bubble. I love it. Even the thought of it makes me tingle, I'm getting a little carried away here, but that's one of the biggest reasons I do music, because it kind of transcends the smaller me and gets me into this space of creativity, which I love so much. But the flip side to that is, we overlook a very fundamental truth in the entire music making process, that without a clear understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, eventually, in long term, we're like a ship without a compass. The good news is, though, that why is both that compass and your anchor. And that's powerful. That why is what could give you the clarity to not just get going in the right direction, but also grounding you in your intentions, even when the going gets tough. And we know as musicians that the going will get tough, one way or the other. Take, for instance, the quintessential musician working on the debut album scenario. Yeah, just a little example here. Without a clear why, they might find themselves chasing trends, trying to please everyone, which is, just not possible, or eventually second-guessing their own artistic choices down the line. Alternatively, when their why is rooted in something more meaningful, like a desire to share their unique voice, or to tell a story, or to explore a particular theme they're actually genuinely passionate about, the entire process changes. Because now the music is bigger, and the clarity that comes as a natural byproduct of this shift guides their decisions towards a more authentic direction. See how cool that is? It's really that easy. So the why basically becomes the proverbial North Star, quote unquote, illuminating the path ahead. This is where the why comes in. Okay, let's move on to the what. The what is it almost sounds funny when I say it out loud, but the what really is what brings clarity to your vision in this second phase of this. Bear with, let me elaborate a little, because once you've nailed down the why, it's time to focus on the what. This is where you define the outcome, what exactly it is you're actually trying to create. Is it a concept album? Is it a series of singles? A film score? Just a general album, which is very rare these days? Either way, but clearly defining the what, you give shape to your project, turning abstract ideas into a tangible goal. Let's take another example. Imagine a band working on a new EP. Now, without a clear what, they might end up with a disjointed collection of songs that don't necessarily quite fit together. But when they sit down and define the what, say a 5-track EP that explores a specific theme like intergalactic travel or time travel or something, all of a sudden they have a clear direction because now they know what to do. Get it? The action plan, the specific steps to take to bring that vision to life, they have it now. They've figured out the what. They've put it down on paper or whatever, a laptop. The potential result of this, ideally, and I speak from experience here, by the way, the songwriting and compositional process becomes more focused. The production decisions become more intentional. And the music, as a result, overall becomes a lot more cohesive. So that is the power of the what. Once you set your why down, you get to the what. You still with me? Because we're going to get to the third part of this framework now. Okay, we've done the why, we've done the what. Okay, and now we're going to go to the third part. Last but not the least, definitely not the least, is the how. The how creates a roadmap for action. The how is kind of like the nuts and bolts of making it happen, and it is not to be underestimated, by the way. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But this is where the magic of the why and the what begins to take form in the real world. Now that the artist knows why they're creating the music they are, have an appropriate action plan for it, they can fine-tune how they want to execute it. How do you want to go about it? Do you want to do, for example, if you're, getting into a studio, do you want to do live recordings, overdubs? Do you want to get a producer, go DIY and just produce the whole thing on a laptop in your bedroom? Either way, that clear how helps reduce the chance of overwhelm if you have it sorted and decided upon from the onset, as opposed to at some random point of time during the creative process. So by breaking down the scope of that entire project, I keep using the word project. Truth be told, I'm not the biggest fan of that word, but for lack of a better term, music is a lot bigger than just a project. But when we are, working on an album or working on a residency or working on a live tour, whatever, it helps to kind of give it a name. And I've just never found, no one I would contend has actually found a better name than project. So for lack of a better term, by breaking down the scope of the entire project into manageable and specific steps, the overall awareness of the process is enhanced. Now the artist can move forward with an entirely different kind of confidence. And that, my friend, is worth its weight in gold. True confidence, not cockiness. What we're looking at here as a result is a brand of true, authentic confidence. Because you've combined your why and what and how. Technically speaking, at least, in theory, you have a solid plan which gives you enough structure, but also isn't completely stiff and binary. So you have enough flexibility to let your creative side unleash itself as well. Okay, real-world applications, clarity through the framework. Let's explore a few situations where the why, what, how framework can be a game changer for musicians. Now, I'm going to talk not about examples per se. We've gone through that. And by the way, those two examples I just cited, they're actually very reflective of real-life personal experiences I've had. And tons of my collaborators and clients and students keep going through. And I probably will eventually encounter too down the line, every now and then. So this is all empirical stuff I'm referring to. But I digress again. Let's talk about a few other general real-world applications and real-world situations where we can gain more clarity through this framework, okay? Number one, overcoming creative blocks. Now, creative block, quote unquote, is something every musician faces at some point. Any creative, actually. Musicians, poets, writers, even athletes. It's that frustrating moment when the ideas just won't come, or when every idea feels wrong. So by revisiting the why here, you can hopefully and potentially reconnect with your core motivation, which often reignites the creative spark. And then the what will hopefully, as a byproduct of that, give you a clear goal to work towards, while the how breaks down the task into manageable steps, making the entire process less daunting. I realize this is all slightly oversimplified, but I'm just trying to give you a general gist of what I'm trying to get at. Number 2, navigating collaboration. Here's another common situation where the why, what, how framework could be helpful, because collaboration is a beautiful thing, but often very, very challenging as a part of being a musician, because different people bring different ideas and often without a clear framework. So it's easy for a project to lose focus. However, by using the why, what, how framework, Jesus, I sound like a salesman almost at this point. But seriously though, by using the why, what, how framework, you can ensure that everyone is on the same page. Assuming you've agreed on the why behind the collaboration, defined the what, the desired outcome, and mapped out the how together, this approach fosters way better communication and ensures that everyone is moving in the same direction. Number 3, general time management and energy management. Musicians are often, like almost always to be honest, if you're a full-time musician and anything like me, you'll probably be juggling multiple projects at once, including the writing, recording, performing, promoting parts of each. So needless to say, it's very easy to get overwhelmed without being mindful about the entire process. Again, this framework, why, what, how, can help you prioritize by clarifying what's most important. Start with the why to understand the purpose behind each project, then define the what to see what aligns most with your goals, and then finally use the how to create a realistic plan that balances your time and energy and aligns to the entire music and the entire goal of what you want to achieve. Hopefully that gives you a general idea of how powerful this tool really is. But I'm gonna, before we come and we're tapering off, we're almost done here. Thanks for listening. I know I've been really banging on about the whole why, what, how thing, especially the why. FYI, I have been called the why guy of late every now and then by some people, which I will bear proudly. I won't lie. I think intent has been extraordinarily underestimated in the music industry for way too long. So I'll take it. I'll be your why guy. I'll be that guy who keeps reminding you how important it is to remember why you are an artist. But moving on, let's talk a little about what the cost of not using this framework in some capacity or other. And I know this is not all black and white, but let's talk about how or what the cost of not using the framework is for musicians. This is probably a bit mean to say, but I'm just going to say it. Not using this framework in some manner or the other is eventually just not a sustainable thing to do. This is especially true in an age where independent artists don so many hats. I mean, think about it. Most independent artists, I can definitely speak for myself. We are the writer, we're the composer, we're the producer, engineer, art director, video editor, podcaster, label head, PR campaign leader. I mean, yeah, when we don't take the time to separate our work into something broad and something that gives us a sense of direction, something like the why, what, how framework, the results will be frustrating in the long term. Projects will feel aimless. We're probably going to find ourselves working harder, not smarter, and pouring energy into tasks that don't actually move the needle. And the natural result to this will be self-doubt in the least, a sense of being stuck in a loop, and in the worst case scenario, burnout. Yeah, burnout, you know that I said it, that dreaded word. You know, for example, we might spend months recording an album or a soundtrack only to realize halfway through that we're not really happy with the direction it's taken. Why? That's exactly it. Because we never clarified our why from the onset. We just jumped into the how instead without fully understanding the what either as a result. And now we're faced with either starting over or finishing a project we're not even 100% convinced about anymore. Sound familiar? I hope not, but I dare say yes. That's probably something most independent artists who've been in the game, for lack of a better term, although this is anything but a game, will be familiar with one way or the other. Alternatively, by applying this framework from the very beginning, I would contend we can avoid unnecessary pitfalls. Well, some of them aren't unavoidable. We know, life happens and music is not a linear process by default. But generally speaking, even if we use the framework or maintain a certain degree of awareness for it, we will move forward with a lot more confidence, knowing that every decision we make is aligned with a deeper purpose and our ultimate goals. This framework is also a cornerstone of my artist self-study course, CIAR, the Complete Independent Artist Roadmap, and it's helped all enrollees and research candidates and beta testers who I've been working with for almost 3 years now, between 4 countries, multiple continents. There's a whole bunch of testimonials you can read on my website, on theholisticmusicianacademy.com. All of them, they've been thoroughly drilled during my coaching sessions on this why, what, how framework. And the self-study course, which is open to everyone to enroll to, quick little plug there, it covers this in depth as well. But long story short, by first establishing clarity with your why, setting clear intentions with the what, and then taking focused action with the how, musicians are empowered to craft a career and an artistic practice that's not just creatively fulfilling down the line, but also strategically aligned with their deepest values. It's a simple but very deep process, this framework. Really helps cut through the noise, and God knows there's enough of that out there, and avoid unnecessary detours and really kind of not stray, but stay true to our unique artistic vision. I wonder if that was a Freudian slip. You folks know what a Freudian slip is? But anyway, just to repeat that. This is a simple but deep process, the why, what, how framework, that helps us cut through the noise and avoid unnecessary detours and stay true to our unique artistic vision. So what's the conclusion here, folks? If we embrace this framework, chances are we have a chance that we could transform our entire artistic practice. I can only repeat, this framework might seem simple, but please don't underestimate its power. By taking the time to clearly define each stage in your creative practice, you can transform your entire system from a chaotic, overwhelming experience into a focused, purposeful journey without feeling stifled or too stiff, because you're not like setting up like super anal, pardon my French by the way, micromanagement kind of things. You're just looking at 3 broad categories and you know that everything you do fits into one of these one way or the other. So whether you're working on a new album, planning a tour, or just trying to overcome a creative block, this framework can provide the clarity you need to move forward with confidence. So the next time you're feeling lost in your music, take a step back and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? And how am I going to make it happen? Chances are you might be surprised at how much clarity and direction these 3 little simple questions can bring. And with that clarity comes the freedom to create your best work. Work that truly reflects who you are as an artist. Hope that helps. Hey folks, I hope you found that episode helpful. Here's a little request. If you did, consider sharing this episode with your folks. Think about the ways in which they might benefit the way you did. And please don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have queries. My name's TL. I'm an independent musician and educator and the founder of the Holistic Musician Academy.